The 29th of May. In case there is anyone watching online, we'll make a few introductions. On my right is Steve King, the team leader for major developments, who is our planning advisor today. On his right is Solomon Agutu, our legal advisor. On my left is Councillor Sweatman, my vice chairman. Around the room in front of me are the councillors who will be making the decision today. And in the corner behind us is the members of Democratic Services who will be taking the minutes and running the technology. And for those who can't read the sign, I am Councillor Phillips. Move on to item 1. This could be embarrassing if you say no. To ratify the appointment of chairman and vice chairman as agreed at the annual council on the 14th of May 2025. Are members happy that we ratify that? Thank you very much. That saves embarrassment. To note substitutions in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 4, substitutes at meetings of committees, etc. I have none. We have 3 apologies from councillors Avery, Whitaker and Peacock. Item 4, to receive declarations of interest from members in respect of any matter on the agenda. Can you please show on the screen if there are any? Okay, I see none, thank you. Item 5, to agree by general affirmation the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 17th of April 2025. Are members happy that I sign those as a true record?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 6, to consider any items that Chairman agrees to take as urgent business. I have none. So we move on to the substantive parts. Item 7, DM 232732. Carryall Copthorne Road, Copthorne, and I'd ask Joe Swift to make the presentation, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just take members through the update sheet quickly. In relation to recommendation B, the recommendation's just been updated to include the reference to the TAD contributions and access arrangements. And apologies, we also have a verbal update. The woodland management plan condition was missing from the report, so just to verbally confirm that the condition will read as: no development above ground level shall take place until a woodland management plan, including long-term objectives, management responsibilities and maintenance schedules and periods for all the on-site ancient woodland, together with a timetable for its implementation of the woodland management plan, has been submitted to and approved in writing by the local planning authority. The woodland management plan shall be carried out in accordance with the approved details and timetable. And the reason is in the interest of the visual amenity in compliance with policies DP12, DP26 and DP37 of the Mid Sussex District Plan. The application seeks full planning permission for the demolition of the existing residential property and commercial units and a proposed redevelopment of the site to provide 5 new B8/B2 warehouse units with associated parking, drainage and landscaping at Carryalls, Copthorne Road, Copthorne. The application site is identified here with the red outline, and it consists of a dwelling, Carryalls, which is located to the southern front of the site. Beyond that, we have some existing barns that have been converted into a commercial use, and the majority of the remaining site is developed as an area of hard standing. And we can see a couple smaller buildings here. These are more temporary style container office units, and to the north of the site we have fuel storage. The remainder of the wider site is undeveloped woodland, and as shown on the constraints plan on the right hand side, it is designated as ancient woodland and is subject to woodland TPO. The closest residential dwellings are located down here to the east, and will remain good screening between those and the proposed commercial site. The site on the western side is designated within the site's allocation DPT as being an existing employment site, and the area to the north is all ancient woodlands with copthorn way beyond. The application site is outside the defined built-up area boundary of copthorn, and as such is designated as being within the countryside. So the plan on the left shows the existing site layout, and the block plan on the right shows the proposed layout. As part of the proposal, all the existing buildings are to be removed, and as will be clear from the plans and photos, they're not considered to be of any particular merit, and their removal would not be resisted by officers. The proposal is seeking to redevelop the existing commercial site. It will be utilising the same access point, and as set out within the report within paragraph 12.96, there will be a reduction in the number of vehicle movements. The current proposal will also secure a travel plan which has commitments to utilising alternatives to the private car. West Sussex Highways have been consulted on the application, and subject to the legal agreement which will secure the access, travel plan monitoring free and TAD contributions towards footpath and cycle lane improvements, they have raised no objection to the proposal. It's also worth noting from the two plans that even though part of the site is still in the ancient woodland buffer zone, the developed area is being kept to the existing developed area where the impact has already occurred. In order to facilitate the proposal, there is a requirement to remove a total of 43 trees. Although it's not too clear on the tree plan on the right-hand side, but the blue marking is the trees which are to be removed. Apart from one category B tree, the rest of the trees are category C or category U. The category U trees are recommended to removal due to their existing condition, and while category C trees are of low quality and value. So although the loss is regrettable and the tree officer has objected to the proposal, the application is considered to provide an opportunity to improve the visual character and amenity of the area. The existing woodland has been unmanaged, and a condition will be attached to allow for the effective management and maintenance of that woodland, which will help to improve the overall quality of the woodland, as well as a condition requiring details of hard and soft landscaping to be submitted and approved, which will allow for improvements over the existing hard standing area and also allow for some replacement planting. Furthermore, with the development site remaining within the existing developed area, together with the ecological enhancements which have been secured by way of condition, the ecology consultant has raised no objections in relation to the impact on the ancient woodland. The next slide just shows the existing elevations. As noted previously, the existing buildings are not considered to be of any particular merit. While it is accepted that the proposal would result in the loss of a dwelling, as set out in my report, there is no policy reference within the development plan related to this site which restricts the loss of dwellings, and from the information that was submitted as part of the application, it states that that dwelling has been vacant from the 1980s. The following few slides will show what the replacement units will look like. All of the 5 units will be constructed of a brick plinth with horizontal and vertical timber cladding walls, sedum green roof, PV panels on the appropriate roof slopes with green windows, doors and guttering. The first slide just gives an indication of units 1 and 2, and we also included, this includes a visual here to show how the materials will look. We then have the proposed unit 3, again similar design. I'll just skip, this is unit 4, and finally unit 5, all fairly similar. The proposed replacement buildings are considered to be an overall improvement to the existing buildings, while also being of an appropriate design in context of the existing commercial nature of the application site. Along with the PV panels that will be located on the appropriate roof slopes, as set out in paragraph 12.120, the sustainability measures, there's a number of sustainability measures that are to be incorporated into the proposal. Of particular note, the buildings will be built to meet current building regulations. There'll be provision of EV charging and future-proofing of the car parking spaces for EV, the use of an air source or ground source heat pumps. This obviously represents a significant improvement over the existing commercial buildings that they will replace, and this would also comply with our policy of DP39 of the district plan. Finally, we just have a few photos of the site. The first one is looking east along the access, along the frontage where the access is located from Copthorne Road. As mentioned, we have no objection from West Sussex Highways, subject to the completion of the legal agreement. So the first one's looking west, the next one's looking east, and then we have a photo from inside the site, obviously just to highlight the appearance of the existing commercial buildings in the condition they are in, and you can see the existing dwelling beyond in the background. The next two photos are looking north. These final two photos here are looking north within the site. You can see the existing fuel storage and the area of hard standing, and the first photo is looking east across the car parking area, and the neighbouring dwelling, closest neighbouring dwellings are beyond the wooded area. The main issues are all set out in the report. The proposal would support economic development and the redevelopment of a previous developed site, and this is considered acceptable in principle and is considered to be in line with DP1 and DP14 of the Mid-Sussex District Plan. The proposal is considered to be an improvement to the residential amenities in the existing arrangement. The replacement buildings would lead to an overall enhancement to the site and are considered to be of an appropriate design. There is no objections received from the Mid-Sussex District Council Environmental Protection Officer, Flood Risk and Drainage Engineers and the Ecology Consultants, nor from the local highway authority. And while there is an objection from the tree officer, the proposal would bring about improvements to the existing woodland as part of the management plan condition. Together with the economic benefits of the proposal, is considered to outweigh the regrettable loss of trees. It is therefore recommended that the proposal is compliant with the development plan when read as a whole, and is recommended that permission is granted in accordance with recommendation A, that it is subject to the completion of the satisfactory signed Section 106 legal agreement and or legal undertaking to secure the necessary TAD contributions, access arrangements, and securing the travel plan monitoring fees. Planning permission be granted subject to conditions set out in Appendix A. We also have recommendation B, that if it is recommended that if the applicants have not submitted a satisfactory signed Section 106 legal agreement and or legal undertaking, securing the TAD contributions, access arrangements, and securing the travel plan monitoring fee by the 29th of August 2025, then permission should be refused at the discretion of the Assistant Director of Planning and Sustainable Economy for the following reason: that the application fails to comply with policies DP20 and DP21 of the Mid-Sussex District Plan and the requirements of the MPPF to provide the required infrastructure contributions and to promote sustainable transport modes. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Joe. Right, we have one speaker speaking in favour of it, Ken Boyd, who's the agent, I believe is the agent for the site. You had 3 minutes, although having seen this is your speech, I doubt that's going to take you that long. If after 2 minutes, I will indicate that there is a minute left, and should you still be speaking after 3 minutes, I would ask you to complete your presentation in 1 sentence, and the time will start when you start speaking. No, that'll come on, that'll be operated by the techies behind us.
Okay.
So,
thank you. Okay, thank you. I'm Kenneth Boyle, and I have been involved in the commercial property market in the North Sussex and Gatwick area for somewhere over 30 years. The overwhelming issue over that period is the lack of small to medium-sized modern industrial and warehouse units in both mid-Sussex and the Gatwick area. The majority of commercial developments are funded by the major pension funds, and they prefer constructing larger buildings to be let to prime covenant tenants. This site has been in the same local family's possession for over 40 years and has since the 1920s been used as a haulage, storage and distribution facility. The site is currently something of an eyesore, with a bungalow in an overgrown garden to the road frontage, which has been derelict since 2019, and some elderly timber buildings to the rear, which are reaching the end of their useful life. Current commercial uses on the site include a fuel storage and distribution facility, a groundworks contractor, and the storage of vintage motor vehicles. The development proposed at Carriall is of 5 units designed primarily for occupation by smaller, expanding companies which need representation in the North Sussex area, which at present is not readily available to them. It is anticipated that the buildings will create around 30 jobs. The location close to the A264 and within a mile of the M23 at junction 10 enables efficient goods journeys to and from the site. There are bus stops close by. The design incorporates the most up-to-date construction materials to make the building as energy efficient as possible and will make efficient use of an underutilised site. I ask you to approve this application.
Thank you very much. Don't suppose you want to make any comments, do you, Joe? Okay, thank you. Right, as the ward member, if I may make a few comments from the chair before passing it to other members. Several of the members here will have visited the site back in, I think it was January. If you were looking at this site anew, there would be a lot of objections to it because the road is mostly large houses and large plots. But I've lived in the village for 45 years and I'm aware that this site has been an industrial site for all of that time. Hardly anyone notices it's there because very few people walk past it. There is no footpath. It's the main road to Three Bridges, and as I say, it's one of those things. And as you're going to it, you don't actually realise it is actually there. What's being proposed, I think members will agree, is a vast improvement on what's there at the moment, and also there will be less vehicle movements, as I understand it, and especially a reduction in vehicle movements at night. The one downside, obviously, is the number of trees that are being taken down. Although the plus side to that is that there will then be a plan to look after the ancient woodland, which I don't believe has been looked after properly in the past, quite frankly. The only thing I would say about that is it will not be obvious to anyone other than people on the site that those trees will have been knocked down because, as I say, there is very little viewing from the road into that site. So, you know, although there is that downside, on balance, I think it's a vast improvement. It's providing small units, which we hope to get on the St Modwyn site, but never did. We just got the large warehouses. So, you know, I'm fairly content that the application should be passed. So I open up to other members. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. I visited the site, obviously, with other members way back in the beginning of the year. It's certainly a site which with a load of dilapidated warehouses and a derelict building, and so it obviously needs some sort of improvement. And it seems that the need for small industrial units fits the bill admirably. I also noticed that certainly along the Copthorne Road to the west is a petrol station, which does have quite a few traffic movements during all sorts of times of the day, and especially in the evening. So, again, that causes traffic and movement. And I don't think this particular development will cause additional traffic of a significant amount.
Thank you.
Therefore, I'm in favour of this development.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Eaves.
Thank you, Chair. I have three questions. I was on the site visit as well. The first one is MPPF 193C says that destruction of ancient woodland, if that is involved, then the application should be refused unless there are wholly exceptional reasons. So my first question is, what are those wholly exceptional reasons? Surely economic benefit is not a wholly exceptional reason. The second question is, DP 37 says there should be no loss of trees under a group TPO. What does a TPO mean? Is there any meaning at all to a TPO if these trees are not protected by it? And thirdly, who would supervise the woodland management plan? Who would even have access? Who would run it? How long would it run for? Who would be monitoring that it was actually happening? Thank you.
Joseph.
Thank you. Just in relation to the MPPF, just to highlight the part of the, while it's accepted that, this is quite a good plan, that the proposal is within the ancient woodland buffer zone, the proposed development is also keeping it within the existing area of hard standing. So I appreciate that if we were looking at this application and there wasn't already the existing development in place, then there would be considered to be an impact on the ancient woodland. But what we're looking at here is we are looking at putting the development on the existing area where if the damage to if there was a damage, it would have already been done. So what we're looking at with this proposal is that there's no additional impact on the ancient woodland than what's already occurred. So we're not looking at any loss of ancient woodland because it's all being contained within the existing developed hard standing area. Just in relation to the tree preservation order, the tree preservation order puts a restriction on that means that any development would, if any works to the trees, would need consent. So the planning permission would overrule the TPO because the permission would be giving consent for the works to be done. So the tree preservation order is in place to stop any unlawful works to trees. It will require consent before anything can be done, but that consent is being given by the planning application if approved. And just in relation to the woodland management plan, they would need to submit details of the woodland management plan, including its long-term design objectives, management responsibilities, maintenance schedule and periods for all the on-site ancient woodland management to the local planning authority, and then we would have the ability to review that, and if we're satisfied with the details then we can discharge that condition, but we would be then responsible if they weren't carrying out that works to ensure that that condition had been complied with. So if they, hopefully that's answered all your questions. Thank you.
Councillor Prescott.
Thank you, Chairman. I didn't make the site visit in January, but I did go and drive to try and find the site, and as you say, it's not easy to find at all, and I drove past it twice before I actually found it. I commend the design, particularly in the sympathetic materials, the sedum roofs, PV panels. I think that's an exceptional piece compared to some of the units we do see, and given the shortage of small units and sort of second stage growth company units in the area, I commend this.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, I'm supportive of the proposal, Mr. Chairman, but I'm a bit concerned. This is the second time we've discussed this, and we're still talking about the TAD contributions, etc., having to be agreed. And I would have thought we could have had further or better information to report upon at this particular time. So I hope that it will be dealt with and will get approved in the end.
I'm not aware we discussed this before, have we?
Thank you. It was come in before district before, but there was an issue came up with the trees, so it was withdrawn before it was brought before planning committee. But I do know that the applicants are working with West Sussex to secure the requirements as part of the TAD contributions, and that work is progressing. So it is hopeful that that will all be completed within the sort of recommendation B time limit that's set out in the report. Thank you.
Thank you. No other councillors wish to speak. Can I have a proposal for recommending? Councillor Sweatman, seconder, Councillor Prescott. Right, could we move to the votes, please? Right, the vote is closed. 8 votes in favour, 1 against, no abstention. So the recommendation is passed. As Joe read out the recommendations in full, I won't repeat those now, unless members want to particularly hear it again. Right, there are no other planning matters before us, none for recommended or for refusal. So move on to item 8, questions pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 10.2. Due notice to which has been given. I have none. So can I thank members and officers for their attendance? And please can you remain seated till the live stream is turned off. I declare the meeting closed at 2:27. Thank you.